welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be a reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for mid-October to the end of the month. So let's get started and see what the major themes are here for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising as they move through the rest of October. Divine Matrix, Let It Go, and a merry motive. Man, everyone is getting a merry motive. So many of the signs I've read for this week have been receiving that card. These are very interesting cards to get together. This Divine Matrix really referring to the idea that there are so many synchronicities around, and whether or not you're able to sort of pay attention to them because of your motivations here. What is the thing that motivates you? What are the thoughts that you are paying attention to, and the inner narrative that you're sort of saying to yourself? How is that impacting the connectivity of all that exists, right? This Divine Matrix is the idea that everything is connected, and that, you know, there are no coincidences, there are no accidents. We're all made of the same energy, and so everything has a spark of meaning to it. And it's interesting. I feel like you're getting the merry motive card with this because there is something about your self-belief or your self-talk or your inner narrative that needs to go, because it's almost like it's trying to understand the world through a perspective that is limited. Does that make sense? It's like this idea that if I can't see it, it's not real. Or this idea of thinking that things are a coincidence when really it's divine timing. And so I feel like Taurus is going to move into a space this month where they start to look at how they perceive events in their life. And they start to look at their own sort of perceptions or limitations in perception. I'm sort of feeling like it's about letting go of limitations. So the idea of releasing those limitations so that you can participate in this Divine Matrix more actively, instead of feeling like things are happening to you, that you're involved in the creation of this, and that your motivations are actually the authors of sort of how you see things. And I feel like you're being guided to let some of those old patterns go because they're limited. I feel like Taurus is being guided to release limiting patterns because they just don't serve anymore. You are being invited to observe and perceive the world differently. This is interesting. Okay. Let's see what energy supports Taurus as they move through this. Wonders, protection, and taking risks. Interesting. Yeah. You know, it is a wonder, isn't it, to sort of observe the synchronicities that occur when you're paying attention and you're mindful of it, and you're mindful of your motives and then what you see in the world, right? And it might be a need that you need to take a risk here, taking a risk to let it go so that, you know, and then this message of protection, I feel like that is going to be related to how you move forward, after you sort of understand that you need to let go of some of these outdated beliefs that you have. These two cards sort of even look alike. I feel like you're going to need to let go of stuff, and then you might feel a little vulnerable. I think that's why you're receiving that protection message, because it can feel awfully vulnerable when we're taking risks and sort of when we trust that divine timing for maybe the first time and let go of some of the boundaries and the limits that we have in our minds. That can feel like risky, and that can feel like vulnerable. And so it might require that you need to sort of understand how to to stay in a situation where you feel protected. You are always protected. However, you might not always feel that way. It might feel vulnerable as you move through your month, letting go of some of these self-limiting beliefs. Now, let's dive into the tarot cards here to see the full story for Taurus. What is the full story here for Taurus? I feel like it's letting go of limiting beliefs and trusting in the divine timing of the events that take place in your life, and not really feeling like you need to overthink or force things. And as I pull the first cards here for you, I feel like that is definitely what we're looking at here. I feel like you're spinning your wheels trying to force things, and it's not working. It's not working, and it's not working because you're really overthinking the idea that you have to force things. You have to be able to control things. I feel like seeing these two together are guiding me to say surrender. Surrender. Don't overthink it. Don't overwork it. Just, feel it. Sort of go with the flow, if that makes sense. Sometimes we feel like we can't go with the flow because, well, then what does that mean? What does it mean when people say surrender and just go with the flow? You still, sometimes we feel like, well, I still need to do something, don't I? Well, that's where I feel like you need to take a step back and reflect on what would be the motivation of this exhaustive working yourself to the bone and overthinking. What is the motivation here? I feel like that's what needs to be let go of, is to sort of examine that motivation and then release it. However, I'm seeing here with the Hermit in reverse that is not something that is feeling like easy for you. You're having a difficult time sitting in the relaxation of just trusting and not over exerting yourself, trying to force things into a place that they don't belong. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can force in a universe that is divinely timed, right? We need to open ourselves up to our intuition more, instead of thinking everything comes from spinning your wheels, sometimes all that comes from spinning your wheels is getting stuck, right? So the idea of reflecting here to try to understand the wisdom behind your motives so that you can feel like you can release things that are limiting you and creating boundaries where you want expansion, I think is going to be key for you. Now, what seems to be sort of motivating all of this is this idea that you are having a mental conflict about how to move forward. And a part of you is thinking, well, I just have to keep going in the direction I'm going, and then everything will just work out. I'll make sure it works out. I'm going to make this happen. And it seems like it's something that is creating a mental conflict for you because it's not happening. No matter what you do, it's not moving forward, Taurus. It seems like this is a situation that is beyond your control. And there's a part of you here that is needing to let go of that control and then make a choice based on what is in front of you. I feel like that is key here for you as you move through your month. And that maybe part of the motivation that you're missing here is that you're not really mindful of all of the wonders in that divine timing, and perhaps some mindfulness, and to turn off that autopilot, right? Turning off the autopilot so that you can make choices about where you're going, what you're saying, what you're doing, and how you're feeling. It's very interesting. I feel like this mental conflict is causing you to not want to, you're not really talking about this yet. You're sort of keeping this close to your chest. You don't want people to be saying gossip or talking about this. So it's like you're keeping it to yourself, but you're also not reflecting on it. You're just overthinking by sort of worrying about outcomes and saying, I don't know what to do. I'll just keep working hard at this and it will get better. And I feel like when we're in situations where no matter how much effort we put in, nothing changes, that's a situation where you may need to take a risk and step away. Stepping away from things can feel very risky sometimes. Now, I can see that in the past, you felt at odds with this situation. You were of two minds, and you sort of had a difficult time trying to decide which way to go. And I feel like you must have picked a way to go, and that maybe now in the present you're feeling like, oh boy, you know, I because here's your 2 in the past and here's your 3 in the present, both in reverse. So it's like you moved forward one step, but you can't seem to progress. You can't seem to progress past that. And it looks like in the upcoming future, you're going to need to get some physical distance from a situation, or mental distance from a situation, in the sense of like, you need to stop overthinking this, but it's going to feel really difficult. You're worried about the outcome of a situation, and it's sort of like, instead of worrying about the outcome, it's almost that the message here for you is to guide you to heal from whatever it is that feels risky, and to heal from things that make you feel like you have to just keep pushing and trying to control things. I feel like you need to surrender that control and move forward in a direction that is more intuitive. Yeah, your inner dialogue is not feeling patient. Your inner dialogue is not trusting in divine timing. Your inner dialogue is saying, I'm the only one who can make things happen in my life. It's like you're completely discounting the fact that we live in a reflective universe, that we have, I mean, we're players in this game, right? Like things aren't happening to us. We are part of how things are happening, you know? And I feel like this is being left out. I feel like you are going to have a revelation about this. And it's almost like this experience is guiding you towards that idea that everything is connected. And it's like you're going to get there by experiencing it for yourself. And I feel like no matter what you do right now, Taurus, you're not going to have the outcome that you want until you surrender. And then even then you might get a different outcome, but it'll be one that is meant for you, even if it feels unpleasant, or if it feels like that wasn't what you were hoping for. Yeah. There's that 4 of Swords with this, you know, I really feel like it's time to get away from the external world to understand yourself better. Now, this seems to be the reflection of you on an outer level, is this idea that Taurus needs some time to reflect. And it's on your mind too. We see that with the Hermit card here in reverse. So it's on your mind too, but you're resisting it. And it's like people in your life can see it. Well, Taurus needs to reflect. I almost said she. So maybe this is a message for a female Taurus. But that Taurus needs reflection before they move forward. And to be patient. Because this is a card of, when it's in reverse, really makes me feel anxious for you, because it's you're trying to hurry an agenda and a timeline that you're not in control over. And as a result, like I said, you're spinning your wheels, and that's just going to get you stuck. Yeah. You're hoping for a shift in your life though, Taurus. You have been looking for a shift. You feel like you're about to close out a cycle, but man, you don't want to let go. You don't want to let go of the cycle that you're in. And I have a feeling the cycle you're in right now isn't necessarily bringing you joy, but it's familiar, it's comfortable, and it serves you, right? Like you're getting something out of it. And so a part of you is like, I don't want to let that go. And then, it's like the universe is saying, well, this chapter's over, so we got to go. But you're in resistance. And so there's the idea that you need to sort of let go, look at your motives, and take a risk. Taking a risk here is going to be key for you, Taurus. Yep. final outcome, you got to go off into the unfamiliar. This chapter is over. This chapter is finished. And, you know, trying to work it by rushing and overthinking and worrying and thinking that it's all on you isn't going to get you very far, it seems. I feel like this chapter is closing, and it's time for you to sort of accept that closing and wander off into the unknown here, and, you know, embracing the unknown and not being afraid of the unknown, and not believing that the past forms the future. You know, the past will only dictate what happens in the future as long as we hang on to the past. And so if we continue to define ourselves by events that happened in the past, instead of saying, well, I'm going to move forward and I'm envisioning my future in a way that's open and trusting of divine timing, right? I'm not, you know, not in a position here where you're resisting divine timing and resisting the idea that when things shift, we need to let go and surrender. And I feel like part of it for you, Taurus, involves security. Why? Because of this protection card. I feel like you're going to be moving from a place where you're very much in your comfort zone into a place where you could find yourself, again, in that unfamiliarity that feels emotionally unfamiliar to you, and it's going to feel very vulnerable. So there's this message here of protection because it's there. You are protected, and you can do things to feel less vulnerable for yourself as you take these risks. And I think some of it is going to involve your motivation and sort of quieting that worrying mind, because really when we worry, we're just creating a wish list of the stuff we fear the most. And so I feel like you're going to be guided to understand the divine timing and potentially your own divinity. You know, you might be feeling very vulnerable right now as you start to feel that you must let go and accept the new, to accept the new and embrace it, you know, to not resist it. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that for you, Taurus. If this has resonated for you and you would like a personal reading, my email's in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and watching. And we'll see you again very soon for another reading. Have a great month, everyone. Sending lots of love and light.